I'm in Salad and I saw The Boys Season 4, Episode 1, Department of Dirty Tricks. It is directed by Phil Segrecia, written by David Reed, and if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. I've literally been standing out here for 30 seconds, and because of how humid it is, I'm already feeling grimy. Ooh, humidity sucks. Don't live in a place with humidity. This episode starts with we're following the boys, and they're going to this campaign. Whose campaign? Oh, it's the Head Popper's campaign. Ah, yes. And she's running for vice president. And I'm like, wow, okay, she's going to be really powerful in the country. I don't know what her politics are necessarily. All I know is she was working for VOT until she turned around on Stan Edgar, so I don't know, actually. Maybe she's going to be like, oh, soup supremacy. I don't know. The episode doesn't really indicate what her politics are necessarily. All I know is she's a big old head popper and we can't have that. No way, we can't have that. I like it. The boys are like, we've got to sabotage. Oh no, Homelander's here. That's no good. And also, Billy Butcher is kind of a rogue right now. He's roguely just walking around. And then he walks around and he sees Ryan there. Oh wow, Ryan's there. And it's kind of interesting seeing them interact with each other because I can tell that Ryan's a good kid. He kind of has some weird feelings about Billy Butcher. And then Homelander comes around and is like, oh, you're gonna die in 6 months. Huh, that's weird. Well, we won't miss you. I'm like, holy god dang. The way that Homelander speaks to Ryan, you can tell how much Homelander thinks he's better than everyone else, and he's trying to teach these values to Ryan, and I'm like, no, if you're going to be a figurehead for people, you gotta like care about the people a little bit, be like, you know, what I do affects these people. But no, Homelander's over here like, I can do whatever I want. But, of course, he runs into the problem when he's in meetings. Everyone's like, oh, we want to be on your side. Oh, we're so scared of you, Homelander. We're so scared. I'm like, yeah, they should be. He's a maniac. And he's like, oh man, I'm so sick of people agreeing with me all the time. I'm going to get the smartest chick ever, Sister Sage. And Sister Sage is recruited. Oh my goodness, as soon as I saw her, I'm like, wow, her eyes are so big. Huge eyes. Also, I really like her house. Her house is covered in books. The person that goes to her is like, prove how smart you are. It's like, okay, how do I do that? How do I prove how smart I am? Look at all the books around me. Let me tell you that you are here because you need something from me. Otherwise, you would have attacked me by now. But you're here because you need me. And I'm like, she's got you there, dude. She proved it. She proved her brains. I'm so curious how she's going to manipulate everyone. Before now, we didn't really have somebody who was big-brained on the team. We had a lot of hedonistic people who just kind of succumbing to their pleasures, and also corrupt. That combination is not really a good combination. You could be hedonistic, but the corruption part, that's the no good part, actually. So imagine if you do everything for your pleasures and you're corrupt. Oh geez, that's pretty much what the 7 was. Oh man, I just am liking the start of the season already. We get to see Homelander recruiting Sister Sage, and then Homelander's like, okay, you got the plans now. And she's like, okay, we got this rally out here. We got the Starlighters and we got the Homelanders and they're protesting. All right, I'm so curious. I'm watching her do her entire process. Her process starts. She throws like a water or some sort of soda at somebody on the Homelander side. And then somebody on the Homelander side starts to try to beat up just a random Starlighter. And she gets out there, and there's a whole riot that's just there. Alright, second step of the plan. We have 3 of Homelander's most devoted people, including Mother's Milk's ex-wife's ex. And it's crazy to see that, because it's like, oh god, they're just doing shady back alley deals. Like, oh, let's just all collect with each other. And she's there. Mother's Milk's there with like a photographer. What is it called? A freaking camera. I'm filming on one right now. Why do I not know what it's called? Anyway, so he has like the really long lens, and I saw that long lens. I'm like, wow, that's a really long lens. That's a pretty good lens that you got there, Mother's Milk. And oh boy, he takes a picture of her, and I'm like, oh, she probably didn't know this. She probably didn't know at all what was happening. Some third party was going to look. But I'm also thinking, like, if she's so smart, she's probably observing everything around her and probably knows that Mother's Milk is there. I'm just thinking, how smart is she? She is the smartest person on the planet. What's the IQ of that? Like 230, I mean? 230, is that the highest IQ? I don't know. I don't know anything about IQ. All I know is that she's cool, and she has this plan enacted where we have freaking A-Train, the Deep, and Black Noir, which, by the way, is just a guy in a costume. They have to keep up appearances. And so, oh man, you can see their personality and who does what. Because Black Noir is like, yeah, immediately starts bashing one of the guys, and then the Deep joins in because he just really wants approval from Homelander. And then A-Train is just there. He's just like, aw, what? Oh god. And then he's supposed to take the bodies and puts it somewhere. Where'd he put it? Oh, he put it right next to all the protesters. They're all rioting. And then someone screams, right? And they see the bodies there. Starlight's there. She's like, come on, please stop fighting. Everyone go home. Everyone go home. And she sees that her friend got really, really beat up. And I'm like, oh, this is terrible. This is awful. More and more tensions are rising. This is no good. I'm not happy with this result. And wow, these people are dead. And now it looks like the Starlighters committed murder. And I'm like, wow, this is really smart. Also makes me think, what is Sister Sage's motivation? She has to know what's up with Vought. She essentially runs Vought now. So it makes me think, does she want to control Vought, or does she want Vought to go down? I'm not sure what her motivation is, because why would she be dealing with people less smart than her when she could just do her own thing and get the same results? I think her superpower is knowing what people are going to do whenever she does something. She knows how people are going to react, and so she's able to play off of this and then do other things to manipulate reactions from people. And wow, she got the results that she wants. I think her superpower is manipulation of people, because she's so much more smart than anyone else. So I find this to be really fun. I like this episode a lot. It really raises the stakes. It's like, oh wow, we got someone smart, really smart. I don't know if there's anyone that smart on the team of the boys, honestly. No, there's not. She's the smartest person in the world. Of course there can't be anyone smarter than her. So I'm thinking, what could be a weakness to somebody who is smart? And I'm thinking, maybe it's not knowing something. The weakness to a smart person is not knowing the thing. You don't know what you don't know. So I'm guessing maybe if people were to sneak around her without her knowing anything, then maybe that's a way to defeat her. We also got Firecracker on the team, and honestly, she kind of reminds me of like a female Tim Pool. Not gonna lie, like without the beanie and everything, but she's saying like the exact same things that he is, plus a mix of Alex Jones in there. The most radical thing, the most radical right wing rhetoric you can say. That's her position. And also, we got Frenchie is gay. That's cool. I like that. I'm actually all for Frenchie being gay, but what's interesting is seeing him interact with Colin, and it's like, something is up here. Why are you not so lovey-lovey with him? Why are you so hesitant to hug him? It's a little weird. Maybe you know something about this kid that this kid doesn't know about you. I don't know. This episode just sets up so many things for the next few episodes, and it makes me wonder what's going to happen. I'm so excited for the rest of season 4. Let me know what your predictions are for season 4. What's your favorites parts from this episode? I gotta give this episode, it's a solid 7.7 out of 10, and too many mosquitoes. I'm in Salad and I saw The Boys Season 4, Episode 2, Life Among the Septics. It is written by Karen Gaviola, written by Jessica Chow, and if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode starts and we're following a scene being shot for the Vaught movie, and Will Ferrell's there. Okay, first of all, I love this scene, right? We got Will Ferrell, great. Okay, cool, I like him. He just reminds me of Will Ferrell, and I like how he plays Will Ferrell within The Boys. Also, the line that he has him talk to this guy, right? This whole premise is crazy within the movie itself. So there's this guy who's went back to the ghetto and Will Ferrell is supposed to save him. And it's like, wait, why? He's okay. Well, he goes back to the ghetto, Will Ferrell's like trying to save him, and then this guy is like, nah, I don't want to go back. Not because I don't want to, but because I can't. And I'm like, why? What's the character motivation here? But the scene kind of cuts off, you know, the actual making of the scene, and then we get a little bit of behind the scenes of what it's like to work on this production. And the director, oh man, cool director, maybe not really in this scene. He could be cool in other places, but I don't know him. I haven't seen him. The only way that I've seen him is via this scene, and my impression of him is that I don't really like him that much. It's a little insensitive, the lines that he's writing, but whatever. But I just like the Will Ferrell. Also, we got Billy Butcher. He's like telling the boys, hey, I've only got so many months to live, and Mother Milk is like, leave, go. Me, I'm like, you should really let Billy Butcher stay with the boys. This is his last dying wish. What, do you just want him to sit in his bed for 6 months until he dies? No, let him go out with a bang. You know, it's like an honorable death versus just sitting there, withering away, waiting to die. So I don't agree with Mother's Milk on his decision, but it's whatever, it's his decision. Oh man, Mother's Milk, I think he thinks he's pretty smart, and he is, except for when he goes to this convention, right? And of course he overhears this convention from the previous episode. Hey, go to this room. Okay, he goes to this room. Wow, he gets caught by Sister Sage. And it seems like him and Sister Sage know each other from previous. I like the dialogue. It's so condensed, right? But it explains so much. Apparently, Sister Sage can just see when Mother's Milk is trailing him and has got him. Oh, we sent you to the wrong meeting. Ha ha ha, got him. We got you. I wonder what the history is with Mother's Milk and Sister Sage here. But this whole convention thing isn't necessarily connected to Sister Sage. It's more of like a firecracker, a right-wing thing going on here, like with a lot of conspiracy theories at this convention. And we got the boys just kind of looking around, trying to get a gauge on Firecracker, trying to get a gauge on Sister Sage, who are here. I'm looking at Sister Sage, and also looking at her with her, not necessarily sidekick, but her assistant, like super in love with her. And I'm looking at these interactions, and it's just awkward. Like, he just stares at her while she's like, yeah, I need help with this, okay? And he's like, just staring at her. I'm like, dude, be a normal person. Just like answer her, just stop staring at her. But I get it. He loves her so much. He's like her most devoted fan. So I completely get that. So we have Firecracker, getting a little bit of lay of the land on Firecracker. And also, one of Firecracker's goodest pals. Because the boys, they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna investigate, what's up with you? Oh, what's up with this? What's going on here? Deaded. Another reason for Firecracker to not like the boys, like, very fun. Also, it's fun. I like seeing Homelander with Ryan, and it's very clear that Ryan is a little uncomfortable in this situation. Homelander's trying to make a suit for him that's based off of Homelander's design. And this scene, I love because it's the first moment where we see Homelander and Sister Sage truly clash. Homelander is like, yeah, I want my son's suit design to reflect on me because he's my son. And Sister Sage is like, no, we want him to be a standalone person. Just let him just stand there. Alone. He's you, but like, stand alone. And if he were to be with you all the time, then he'd just be kind of like a sidekick, not like the next person to come up after you. I understand Sister Sage's advice, but Homelander is very angry, and great line from Sister Sage is here. Oh, you know, I was just recruited here because I thought you wanted to know what was best for the team, and I thought your ego could handle that, but clearly you can't. You know, that's not the exact quote, but that's the essence of the quote. And I like Sister Sage a lot. And like, oh, she's giving Homelander sass. And Homelander put her there so he can't, like, disagree with her. That's the entire reason that she's here, is to disagree with Homelander. And I'm like, oh, wow. There's some tension building up there. Whoo, boy. And I'm also like, well, if she's making all the decisions, then what the point is Ashley here for? Like, why is she here? She's going to eventually get booted from Vought because she's no longer necessary. Billy Butcher comes back to try to beg to be back into the boys. And I'm like, I don't think Mother's Milk is necessarily going to let you. But, you know, Mother's Milk got the team caught. So maybe Mother's Milk is more willing to have Billy Butcher around. But it's obvious that Mother's Milk is very hesitant to have Billy Butcher around. Even though he knows what to do, he's very brutal. He's able to save the day whenever necessary, of course. Also, what's interesting is now we have Homelander and Ryan's now featuring in the movie, and he's supposed to, like, save this little child from being robbed, and he, like, holds his hand, and Homelander's there, and there's, like, a bunch of bystanders. Homelander's there. I like the little perspective of, like, the side people just, like, there live while doing the production. And you got Ryan, flip the Ryan, and then Homelander. And I'm like, isn't Homelander's mouth movements on camera, even though he's not saying anything, but he's like whispering, and like the last things he said is louder than the first thing he said, so that should be on camera. But the way that the show does it, it cuts to Homelander saying like, just throw him, do it now. And then Ryan throws him, smacks him against the wall, and he's like liquefied. And Ryan is very petrified. You can see in his face, he's like, oh god, I killed somebody, oh no. And Homelander's just like, oh, mistakes happen. I'm like, no, Homelander, you're terrible. Oh my goodness. Speaking of Homelander, we got Black Noir, and he's like talking, he keeps talking. Black Noir doesn't talk. Black Noir 2 is like, what's my character's motivation? Also, I've never killed somebody before. Stop saying those words! Dude, stop! You're going to implicate yourself in a crime. Stop it! You're the weak link here. Also, A-Train, feeling guilty about murdering all these people, gives the boys some video evidence of the murder. It gives some proof of it wasn't actually the Starlighters. here's some proof. And I'm like, oh god, A-Train's turning against Homelander. Oh no, Homelander, what is he gonna do once he figures out that everyone's betraying him? Oh geez, oh boy. So this episode's got me tense. It makes me want to watch the other episode. I like this episode a lot. It makes me wonder, what is Sister Sage's motivation? She's getting really lippy against Homelander. I don't know. Makes me curious about her character. This episode really ups the stakes. I gotta give this episode, it's a solid 7 points. It's like a 7.6 out of 10. I'm in Salad and I saw The Boys Season 4 Episode 3. We'll keep the red flag flying here. It is directed by Fred Toy, written by Ellie Monahan, and if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode starts and we're following Homelander as he officially brings Firecracker and Sister Sage on the team. And since Sister Sage is the new brain behind Vought, Ashley is no longer needed. She's just pushed to the side. We don't need you, pesky human. And I'm like, oh boy, uh-oh. She's lost all that hair for nothing. She's just being pushed to the side. Well, how is Ashley going to respond to this? Billy Butcher, though, he's like, okay, you know what I got? I got a plan. I've got a plan to take Ryan by force. I'm gonna drug him. And I'm like, I don't necessarily think that's gonna work in the way that you think it's going to, Butcher. I mean, yeah, you can drug a person, but how do you drug a soup? Really, how do you drug them? And of course, he didn't even need to drug him because he's able to hang out with Ryan, and Ryan's a good kid. At the end of this episode, when we have a good, nice connection with Butcher and Ryan, Ryan opens up to him like, I accidentally killed a guy and I feel really bad for it, and Homelander's here telling me I should not care at all. And I feel for Ryan in this because he has a lot of guilt. And I like how Billy Butcher sees this as also like, oh, okay, he's a person. He has feelings and he has not these narcissistic, egotistical tendencies that Homelander has, but he is, in fact, a different person. He has a little bit of Becca inside of him. You know, he's getting some Homelander traits now, but he's really deeply Becca. He's deeply a human and he actually cares about people. This episode has a lot of fun things happening, like A-Train and Mother's Milk, they're pairing up together, they're teaming up. I'm like, what? I thought A-Train would be the guy loyalist to Homelander just because, you know, Homelander would kill him. But here we have A-Train. Something finally affected A-Train, and it's the murder of those protesters. He's like, you know, I've got more dirt, okay, and just make it so people don't know that I'm here. And obviously he's going to get caught because you're surrounded by a bunch of supes, but right now he is not caught just yet. I think he will get caught because that's the nature of the show, but I like Homelander's change of character. He's the type of person to be so selfish, and then his guy, the guy he's estranged from, his brother, he's the guy he's now estranged from, won't talk to him. Now he's like, I gotta do something. And so I think this is why A-Train is helping out the boys in this season. Let's see what Frenchie and Kamiko are up to. They're going to the Shining Lights house and they're doing some breaking in and they're doing some snooping around. They're doing some, not necessarily fighting, but we have Frenchie, he's really high, and Kamiko doesn't really like that. And Kamiko encounters a person that she used to fight a long time ago, and she has a scar from Kamiko. And what's interesting about this is they have a little bit of a fight, but they don't actually end up murdering each other, which is pretty cool. They kind of find themselves at a draw, as Kamiko finds herself dealing with Frenchie's highness. Oh my goodness. Also, we find out what Firecracker deal is with frickin' Starlight. It's because Starlight, oh my goodness, when they were both 11 years old, Starlight called her fat. and ugly and a slut. And I'm like, Starlight, you're so mean. What? I've been mean. I would consider myself a nice person and also has the capacity to be very mean, so geez, Starlight, come on. I wouldn't say that to a person directly to their face, only because of this situation happening right here where we have Firecracker bitterly hates Starlight and is rooting for her downfall and is actively going against her. This is why you don't call just random people fat and, you know, just people you're growing up with, because they're going to hold on to that. Come on, Starlight. And she's not forgiving you. I'm so sorry that I said that, Firecracker. No, I don't care. I don't want your forgiveness. No way. I'm going to put you in the ground. And that's a dangerous enemy to have. Also, it's fun. Huey goes through an air duct and learns information about what Sister Sage has got going on. Okay, we got Sister Sage and Homelander. They're having a bit of a meeting, and you know, it's a little hot in the air ducts, and it's all fun and handy dandy, all fun, nice stuff. But Huey sweats and drips on Homelander, and Homelander's like, what is happening? And beams his eyes into the freaking air duct. It makes me wonder, how did Huey get out of there in time without making any sound at all? Like, there's no sound. He just was able to escape. I don't believe that, but maybe he's like really fast. Or maybe he took some Temp V and he was able to teleport, but he wasn't naked, so Also, it's interesting, we have Huey and his mother reunite, and you know, it's the mother that left Huey, and he's like, why? And she's like, oh, I was depressed. I'm like, it's good to have a mother there when you're growing up as a child. Even if your mother's depressed, you can still have memories of your mother. It's kind of hard to have any mother figure in your life when she's gone. You kind of just have your presence there. Like, you could be the worst mother ever, but just have your presence there. Being gone is worse, actually, for children. But of course, she left. Oh, I'm depressed. You know, I don't think Huey's going to forgive her. I would not forgive her if I were Huey, but we'll see. Also, Homelander's reprimanding Ryan. Hey, why are you hanging out with Billy Butcher? I can spell it on you. And I'm like, oh no, he's gonna go with the Billy Butcher now. So this episode is pretty tense. It builds up from the past couple of episodes. This episode is a solid one. Go watch it. It's very good. It explains a lot of relationships, goes into depth on them. Some people you might not expect to meet up with each other. It's pretty cool. I give this episode, this is solid 7.3 out of 10. This one, so many secrets are exposed, it's crazy. I'm in Salad and I saw The Boys Season 4, Episode 4, Wisdom of the Ages. It is directed by Phil Segrecia, written by Geoff Aul. And if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode starts with following Homelander as he goes down to the lab where he came from. And you know what he does? He brings a nice fudgy cake and he greets them with it. Hey, have a snack. Eat it now. I'm forcing everyone to eat this cake. And it's an ice cream cake. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, man, I want some ice cream cake. Especially in this heat, it would really help. But Homelander's like, here we go, cake. Let me tell you about how each and one of you individually tortured me. Especially that guy over there. He put me in the oven to see how hot my skin would get and make it so it would go torch, and it never torched. But it hurt a lot, and Homelander still has a grudge against that man. He's like, yo, you go into that oven right now. And that guy goes in the oven, and guess what? He's a human, he burns up, and I'm like, bro, Homelander, you suck. Aww. I'm terrible Homelander. And then he goes, picks on this other guy. He's like, haha, you remember why you called me Squirt? Well, it's because I was in that room over there where I spent most of my time, and I would constantly be watched, but there's 5 minutes where I wouldn't be watched, so I'd jerk off in that time. But one time I didn't jerk off quick enough, and you saw me jerking off and come out of my penis, and you now call me Squirt. And I'm like, oh my goodness, guy, you insisted on calling this teenager Squirt. Don't you have any sense of foresight at all? Like, you're doing literal experiments on this kid, on this teenager, torturing to see how long or how much he can resist things for, right? And you're just like, oh, I'm gonna tease on this kid. He's the most powerful man on the earth right now, in the season we speak. Come on, dude. He's gonna come back to bite you, and that's what he does. And you know what's interesting? Jerk off in front of us right now. He does. And obviously he's like, get hard right now. And he's like, I can't. It's really hard to see. And it's like, I'm looking at this scene and I'm like, man, this feels bad. I feel so bad. And he's like, everyone, come laugh at him. Come laugh at him and how he can't get off. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha. Get hard for me right now. And he's like, dude, I'm sure I can't. I'm sorry. It's too much. Homelander's like, ha ha ha, okay. And then he just shoots a laser through his penis. And it's just all bleeding now. And I'm like, no. No, terror. I'm like, no. Homelander, no. You shouldn't laser people, but you certainly shouldn't be lasering people through their genitals. That's like the most sensitive part of their body. It's going to hurt. Homelander, that's why you did it, isn't it? You freaking evil guy. I hate you, Homelander. I want him to get down. I want him to go down. I really hate Homelander. The only way Homelander is able to stop his torturing is when we have the director come up to him and be like, yo, you can't do this. And like, this director has some emotional connection to him, so she's able to influence him not to go after the rest of them. He's like, Homelander, just go home. Just go. Please just go. And that's what he does. He just kind of does whatever. So anyway, we have another storyline, another plot line. We have Huey, and we got Huey's mom, and they're together. There's a frickin' big old bee, and I don't like it. I don't like big old bees. Why are they coming near me? Oh, is it because I'm wearing yellow? Anyway, we have Huey and Huey's mom trying to deal with the fact that Huey's dad is on coma, on life support. It's right there. Frickin' predators, mean bugs. Venus flytrap. I named you Audrey 3. Hey, you better eat that wasp. Okay, you better. Anyway, let's try this again. Huey and Huey's mom have to deal with the fact that Huey's dad is on life support, and she's like, I want to pull him off life support. And Huey's like, no. Instead, there's an arrangement. Huey's able to get Compound V, and then he doesn't have the ability. Well, he does have the ability. He just doesn't want to give Compound V to him when, like, right there, like, I don't know if I should, right? And then he kind of hesitates, but it's actually the mom who gives him Compound V, and he wakes up, and it's like, wow, this is a miracle, this is crazy, is he gonna be okay? And he's just like completely fine. And I'm like, this is gonna turn out really bad. Also, something that turns out really bad, we have Firecracker. She's sent in full force to do slander against Starlight, and it's actually working. She has some slander that's Starlight got an abortion, which is true. This is some sealed medical records that she has. This is crazy, right? And so Starlight is like, I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna run over there, and I'm gonna beat her up. And I'm like, oh God. You did it. You did what Sister Sage wanted you to do, which is emotionally freak out because medical documents were released of yours, and that's privacy stuff. That's no good. No good. Anyways, we also have frickin' Billy Butcher's around, and he's like snooping around Ezekiel's trailer, and he's there, and Ezekiel finds him, he does stretchy stuff, but then he kind of blacks out, and then he doesn't know how, but then Ezekiel gets all blown up, and there's like blood everywhere, and he's like, what happened here? And he has to escape. So many things happen. Also, Frenchie confesses to Colin that he killed Colin's dad, and understandably so. Colin doesn't want him in his life anymore, and also beats him up pretty severely. I get it. That's a human reaction. We have a lot of human reactions in this episode. We got Billy Butcher. He's like, why, how, what happened here? How did this guy die? He just exploded? And I'm like, it was you, Billy Butcher, but he doesn't know it. Then we got Annie beating up Firecracker, Homelander doing Homelander things, being evil, terrible person, and Huey and his mom reconnecting over his dad dying, which is pretty fun. This is a fun episode. It makes me want to watch more of The Boys. Honestly, I'm so down to see what happens in the rest of the season. There's a wasp out there. It's running amok. Just go watch this episode if you haven't. If you haven't watched The Boys, just go catch up to The Boys. It's a slow burn. It's a slow burn of a series. It establishes things and then it goes vroom. And then it gets even more intense. Season 4 has been the most intense, and each and every episode that airs is more intense. More intense than the last. So I gotta give this one, it's a solid like 7.9 out of 10. This episode uncovers some compound experiments on animals. I'm in Salad, and I saw The Boys Season 4, Episode 5, Beware of the Jabberwock. It is directed by Shauna Stein, written by Judalina Niera, and if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode starts, we're following Hugh. Not Huey, but Hugh is his father, and he wakes up from the coma. And it's revealed explicitly that it was, in fact, the mother who gave the compound V to him. And he's like, oh man, I'm doing fine. I'm having a fun time. No, he's not having a fun time. He soon discovers that he has some powers. The power to go through walls, and then he can stop. But he's not able to control it, so he goes through some walls, and he stops in the middle of people. And then he's like, I don't know what to do. And of course, the people that he's stuck in are now dead because he's like replacing their internal organs with himself. And they just like go, he's like pushing the internal organs out of their body onto the floor. It's pretty disgusting. So of course, he's like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. So Huey and Huey's mom are like, you know, I think we have to make the humane choice and put him down. And that's what they do. And it's kind of sad to see Huey go through grieving, but this was worse than just normal grieving. This is, he got the compound V, which his mother gave to his father, and his father killed a bunch of people learning how to use compound V. Happens every time that a human has compound V in their system. They develop powers and end up killing a bunch of people because they don't know how to control their powers. He knew this. This is why he didn't initially inject his father with the compound V, but his mother did not know this. But his mother knew that Huey wanted to inject compound V, but didn't know about his change in decision, so she just did it for him. And this is the result that we get. Butcher also finds out some information about a super virus that can kill V people. Soups. V people. He's like, I found a guy who can do it. We're going down to the lab, and that's what we're doing. Going down to the lab. And what's interesting, we gotta go to Stan Edgar to convince him, like, hey, can you do this with us? And also Newman gets him out of prison, which is pretty cool. So they go down to this lab. Stan Edgar's like, wait, this is weird. This is just like a house. this underground. I didn't clear this. And there's a random Compound V lab, and there's a bunch of animals that have been experimented on with Compound V. And so Butcher, big brain idea, is like, I'm gonna let that one guy out, right? I'm gonna let the little gerbil guy. And he does. And you know, the gerbil guy looks nice. But then, if you agitate them, they start freaking out, and everybody starts freaking out in their cages. But we have the one gerbil guy, he's out of his cage, and he starts attacking people. So they go, and then they get out of the farmhouse, and guess what? There's flying sheep, and they eat people. They fly up and eat people and rip them in half. It's pretty terrifying. So they have to like run away from the flying sheep, and they're mostly getting rid of the flying sheep. They found one vial of the virus, and in order to stop the sheep, they have to use this virus, you know, and then it's kind of, it goes to the different ones. It's airborne, okay? It goes to the different sheep, and they all just drop dead. And I'm like, this is crazy. First of all, sheep are acting like cannibals. I mean, I guess it would be cannibalism if they ate sheep as well. They're acting like predators? Uh-oh, this is not a good idea. I don't like the idea of Compound V. I mean, I never really liked the idea, but this is taking it to a new level that I'm like, this is very dangerous. I mean, at least humans you could teach morality to. You can't teach morality to a sheep. Also, it's interesting, we got Vought News. They have an anchor. He's kind of like a Tucker Carlson type guy. What is this freaking name? Coleman. Yeah, he's Ashley's like, yeah, he's the guy ratting us out. He's the guy giving information. Get him! And then he's dead. I'm like, oh god. Ashley, you're not as smart as Sister Sage. Just let Sister Sage do the thing. Everyone's ego is in the way of Sister Sage doing her plan. It seems like this has always been the case with her. She's like, I know how to do this and this and this and this and this. And it requires this from you and this from you and this from you and blah, 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 blah. And it requires me to give you some information, interact with people differently, you know, all that fun jazz. And I'm like, oh god. People are just going to find a way to get in Sister Sage's way. And I have a prediction that Sister Sage is going to, have to be in conflict with somebody's ego. The Seven kills him, and Homelander gets more psychopathic. He's like, we're gods. I'm like, no, you're not. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. This is prime case for Homelander. And then, oh god, it's actually revealed that the guy who made the virus is not dead. It was actually Billy Butcher who cut off his leg, hence the name Butcher. I was like, he obviously has to have cut off somebody's leg before in order for him to be named Billy Butcher. Is that his last name? It seems a little bit too on the nose. It's like a profession kind of title, and you kind of live up to your profession. Anyway, this is a fun episode. It just makes everyone look worse. It also makes the situation on the Compound V look worse. Like, oh geez, who is doing these Compound V experiments if Stan Edgar was not privy to this, and he was big head honcho in Vought for a long time, chairman, you know, he knew his way, but I guess the company got too big for him to micromanage all the pieces, and this is what happens. There's a downfall for Vought. It's a long downfall, for sure. Not in the public eye just yet, but behind the scenes there's a downfall. And I really want Vought to go down, because I don't like it. But also, everyone in The Boys kind of sucks. This episode is freaky. I'm excited to see how the rest of the season comes out. I gotta give this episode, it's a solid 7.5 out of 10. Ever been curious about Sister Sage would act like if she got shot in the head? Pow! This is the episode for you. I'm Unsound, and I saw The Boys Season 4, Episode 6, Dirty Business. It is directed by Karen Gaviola, written by Anselm Richardson, and if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. The boys find out about a party at Tech Knight's place. He's basically a parody of Bruce Wayne / Batman with a big old mansion. And how are they going to get into that party? Well, they gotta pose as web weaver. Webweaver is, you know, doing a lot of drugs that you gotta boof. I learned what boofing was today. It's where you take drugs and you injected it into your anal hole, and I guess it's like chugging alcohol through your butt too, because the membranes there are very thin and goes into your system pretty much immediately. You just skip the liver all entirely. And so we got Webweaver. He's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be asleep for 2 days. And that gives them his suit plus a great way for them to go into the party. Huey has to go into the party. So Huey goes into the party. We got Tech Knights here. He's like, hey. Hi, says Huey. He's like, hi. He's like, you down? You down? You want to go to the secret place? And Huey's like, sure, okay. And guess what this place is? Underneath all of these floors in this giant mansion, there's this little base. And it's like, oh, it's like the Batcave. But no, it's a lot of kinky stuff. It's like 50 Shades of Grey if Batman did it. Oh, God. So, Tech Knight's like, okay, Webweaver, are you ready? And they like start doing stuff. Ashley's there too. Huey's just there. He's all tied up. And it's a struggle seeing him just there. Ashley's like, oh, I'm gonna piss on your face, and I'm gonna flog you, and Ashley's very kinky. I'm like, wow, crazy Ashley. Yes, that Ashley. She also mentions like interest in scat porn. I'm like, what is going on? What type of person are you, Ashley? Oh my god. There's moments where I feel sympathy for her, where she's like, oh, I'm stuck in this really corrupt company, and she has some human moments. And then these moments, and I'm like, I regret having any sympathy for you, because you think this is Webweaver. You guys have a specific safe word, and Huey doesn't know the safe word. The grossest safe word found out at the end of the episode. What he liked most was the prompt for the safe word, and the safe word is Zendaya. And I'm like, oh god, okay. Okay. Alright. I mean, Zendaya's cute. I'm just not really interested in her sexually. I think she's cute. I think Webweaver is, for sure. Holy... Why mention her name in that context if you're not? Huey has to endure this. Well, we got Mother's Milk, Billy Butcher, a couple other people. They're like snooping around. Frenchie put himself in prison last episode, and now he's not here. He's like, I confessed to all the murders, and now he's done all the trialing, and he's in prison. And Kamiko's really sad about it, trying to visit him often, and he won't take any visitations. And I'm like, why aren't you doing that? Why aren't you letting her see you, Frenchie? I know it's because you feel bad and shamed, but she came here every single day. Every single day you denied seeing her. At some point, you should like pull yourself up by the bootstraps and let her see you. So anyway, we got them putting bugs up into places. Sister Sage cashes them. Sister Sage gets shot in the head. And of course that has been established. Anything that happens to her brain basically lobotomizes her. And so she has a very powerful meeting with like upper echelons of society. And she's just left there being all, I'm gonna stuff cake in my face. Nom 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 there. So Homelander has to take over, and then they ask Homelander a bunch of questions that he wasn't prepared for. Firecracker's there. She's like, I know. You guys have all these questions, but it's going to work out for you guys. It's okay. And I'm like, Firecracker is decently smart. From my impression of her, definitely not as smart as Sister Sage. Probably, if I had to place her, probably like a 110 IQ in IQ points. But she knows to play to Homelander's ego. And so I'm like, oh god, they're just left there to deal with the fact that they don't know what decision to make, because it's usually Sister Sage who would be doing all the talking. Billy Butcher has this guy making a virus in like a basement, and this guy makes a virus, right? He's like, hey, this is going to be able to like kill every soup. Okay, if it's powerful enough to kill Homelander, it's gonna kill every single suit. And it's also revealed that the guy, Joe guy that Butcher was talking to the entire time is fake. I already knew this. As soon as I saw him talking to him, I was like, well, he's never been established in previous episodes, so I'm just assuming that he's fake. Like, Becca is fake in his mind. She's dead, obviously, so he has a version of Becca in his head. And so when I saw Joe, I was like, yep, they're both fake. And this is like the big revelation, like, oh my goodness, I'm like hallucinating people. This is crazy. And I'm talking to people who are not there. It's a big old revelation for Butcher. So Butcher's like, I don't know what to do with this virus. And that's for next episode to decide, actually. This is a fun episode. Each and every episode builds up to another hype. And I just have to see more of the boys. Everything's getting a little on the nose. Very, very, very on the nose, but the main storyline is still intact, in my opinion. Just like some of the culture stuff is like, oh yeah, this obviously parallels culture to now. Like the whole like political stuff. I don't like politics. I don't like getting into politics. Anyway, this is a fun episode. This episode gets a solid 7.6 out of 10. Starlight put her costume back on despite hating it. Why is that? Watch this video to find out. I'm in Salad and I saw The Boys Season 4, Episode 7, The Insider. It is directed by Catriona Mackenzie, written by Paul Grelong. And if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. We find out at the very end of this episode why Annie puts her suit on, but what happens before that is that Billy Butcher releases Frenchie from prison because he needs Frenchie's help to make this virus a soup virus that'll take out all of soup kind. And Frenchie is the craftiest guy that he knows, and also can just make any sort of chemical using basically nothing. So Frenchie is the right guy for the job. However, Frenchie is riddled with guilt. Frenchie goes back with Butcher, and Kimiko is there, and Kimiko is giving him the silent treatment. I mean, she is silent all the time, but like, actually, you know, given a cold, hard turn to his presence, he's like, hi, and she's like angry at him because he never let her see him while he was in prison. I would also be really mad at him for that, so it's very understandable why. They have a whole conversation. Kimiko's like, dude, I just wanted to see you. Frenchie's like, I felt ashamed. And Kimiko, right on the nose with this character observation of Frenchie that I agree with. Frenchie is such a sad sap. He's moping all the time. He's always down in his emotions. He kind of has a negative point of view on life and is just sad all the time. I agree with that analysis. I also like how much character development that Kimiko has gone under. She was able to find out that it was not Compound V that made her do those bad decisions. She made them. And she also explains to Frenchie why she is mute, which I really like, because she was at this camp, really young, probably like when she was 12, and she was tasked to murder her opponent, who is also like, it's a bunch of children, it's a bunch of little girls, probably around the same preteen age, and they're tasked to silently, if anyone cries out, they are to be murdered. So she's able to slice and dice up her opponents with no sound, and then whenever she was able to speak again, like given permission by the elders there, she couldn't. And that's why she's silent. And I like Frenchie's take. He's like, well, you didn't have any choice. I like Kimiko's take as well. She's like, well, I did have a choice. It was either I kill those ladies or I die, and I chose to kill those ladies, and that kind of makes me a bad person. What would you do in this situation that Kimiko found herself in when she was young? Would you do what Kimiko did and stay silently killing people for your own life protection, or would you die without, and probably speak like your last words, and then you die? What would you do? Let me know in the comments below. Homelander is like, okay, I think we found the guy who's leaking all the information. It's Webweaver. And they kidnapped the real Webweaver. And Webweaver is kind of gross, really gross. When he gets nervous, he has a bunch of web stuff shooting out of his web hole. It's really gross. He's like, I'm sorry, I feel sick. And Homelander is like, okay, I feel so confident that he is the mole that I'm just going to rip him apart in half right in front of Firecracker. And I like seeing the fear on her face. She's like, oh God, I have to keep stroking his ego or else I'll die. And so it's a necessity for her to be more on his side because of if she's not, then Homelander will just rip her in half. And he's a lunatic and he's insane. Homelander, Firecracker have a meeting with Sister Sage. Homelander's like, okay, Sister Sage, we're firing you because what happens if you get your head shot again? I'm like, I think she should just get a bulletproof helmet. It would solve a lot of problems. I don't know why she isn't wearing one, honestly. I really don't. Why is she not? Because her power is so dependent on her brain that if she gets a bullet shot through her brain, she regresses to like 70 IQ, essentially. Even though she's like 220, 230, 250 IQ, whatever. She's the smartest person in the world. And so Homelander's like, while we're firing you, she's like, I thought you promised that you would do everything I said. I said that you couldn't handle me because your ego would get in the way. Sister Sage is right. I also think that this must have been Sister Sage's plan the entire time. Whenever Homelander went to her to recruit her, she was like, okay, I know that at some point your ego is going to get in the way. She's properly warning him, so she has some sort of alibi, like, yeah, I told him what would happen if you let me on the team, because she has experience with other people who are less smart than her, and she knows how this is going to go. And I feel like she knew this would happen. Like, in even dealing with Homelander, like, you can see that she makes great points that shut Homelander down. And she knew at what levels that they were playing with. She also knew that A-Train was the guy who leaked all the information, and she was giving misinformation to A-Train so she can get the boys. She was playing like at a lot higher level than these guys are. And here we got Homelander and Firecracker go off behind her back to kill Webweaver, and she's like, what, you guys killed Webweaver? And Homelander's like, all right, just go. And she's like, you made an enemy out of me. And I'm like, I would not want her to be against me, because she's smarter than me. You guys are screwed. Good luck. I'm really excited to see what happens in the upcoming seasons. I really wonder if Sister Sage will be on the boys' side. I'm curious. I'm also curious as to why she was helping Vought in the first place. Like, we still don't know her motivation. We still don't know her motivation. She's the smartest person in the world. She can do whatever she wants. Why is she cozying up to Vought? That's my question. Also, it's awesome. Ryan is at a Christmas special, live taping, mind you, and they have like these annoying Muppet guys, like designed after the Seven. And Ryan's like, oh my goodness, I'm so annoyed with these messages to snitch on your family members, see something, say something, big government's your pal. And I'm like, no, oh God. Ryan's like, I'm sick of this. Ryan's like, your family is all you got. I keep thinking about my mother. Just enjoy your family as you have. And I'm about to tell a dirty little secret. And he's like, Homelander is, and then he like walks away. And I'm like, oh my goodness, he's got some good inside of him. And I like how Billy Butcher's at a bar watching this on TV. He's like, that's why I got confidence in him. And he's just talking to himself. He's talking to Joe, but he's talking to himself. It was pretty crazy. They go down to the guy. He's prepped up this virus. And it's like, it's just going to be for Homelander, okay? All right. Are you sure? All right. And then he stabs it into Kimiko. Very effective. So Frenchie has to saw off her leg. And then she has her leg just like in a cooler. And they're like, okay, we're gonna have to extract the virus from this. Oops. Here's why Annie is wearing her suit. Huey's home, and she's wearing it. She's like, oh, I know you had some sexual fantasies, so let's have sex in the suit. And then they do. But then it's revealed that Starlight is actually chained up, and it was the shapeshifter. It's the shapeshifter who's with Huey right now, having sex with Huey, looking like Starlight, and Starlight is just tied up. And that's like the last frame of the episode. I'm like, oh my goodness, what are they gonna do? What is Starlight gonna do? Oh, she's in captivity again. She was like last season, I think, or the season before. Crazy. Anyway, this episode just really wants me to watch the final episode of this season. I'm so hyped, man. I want to see what Sister Sage does. She is by far my favorite The Boys character. Like, honestly, it's because of how smart she is and how she's able to maneuver everybody around her. Oh yeah, because she did talk to A-Train like a couple episodes ago. He's like, you're not the leak. And he's like, no. But the way that he was presenting himself, you can like feel the vibes of a liar. She's like, you're lying. I'm not going to tell you that you are lying. Instead, I'm going to use you to spread misinformation so I get to catch the boys. I'm like, this is cool. Also, A-Train shows himself a little humanity here. When he was saving, when he was like carrying the guy, put him there, right? So a little boy saw him. He was like, man, there's no press, no nothing. But that little boy saw me save that guy, and he sees me as a hero, and that felt better than anything I did for Vought. I'm like, yes, dude, he's like having some humanity, and I like the humanities in these characters, even though they're terrible people. You shouldn't aspire to be them. They're just fascinating. They're fascinating character studies to me. I gotta give this episode, it's a solid 7.7 out of 10. Don't mind the construction sounds. I'm just trying to hide from Homelander. I'm inside and I saw The Boys Season 4, Episode 4, Assassination Run. It is directed by Eric Kripke, written by Jessica Chow and David Reed, and if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. When this episode first came out, on streaming platforms, it was called Season 4 Finale, because the name of the episode is Assassination Run. The timing was definitely off for this release of the episode. But anyway, this episode starts and we're following Billy Butcher as his last attempt with Ryan to try to kill Homelander. He's like, your father is an evil man. He has killed many, many people. We're out and open about it. He even involves Mallory in this. Hey Mallory, how about you come with me and try to convince this kid that his father absolutely sucks. And so Mallory's here. He's like, yeah, your dad, he caused this entire jet plane to crash and he didn't save any of them. Remember from season 1? She's referencing this to Ryan, and Ryan is taken aback. He's not exactly sure what to do, but also he's mad at Butcher for suggesting the idea to murder his father. Homelander sucks, yeah, but it's his father. I mean, what are you gonna do? Really? They have a little bit of a back and forth, which ultimately ends in Mallory's death, caused by Ryan. And then Ryan walks away, and Butcher's like, oh, Mallory is dead. Not only did you kill Becca, but you also killed Mallory, Ryan. Billy Butcher was really on the fence with you. He's like, oh man, he's under Homelander's control. But also, there are some moments where he's like, I like Ryan, and I have hope for Ryan. And he was hoping that hope that he had for Ryan would reflect that Ryan is a good individual. But I don't know. I just think that everybody's a bad person. Ryan, I don't necessarily agree with the tactics that Butcher is using to try to get Ryan to kill his father. You're presenting him with, you should kill your father. Billy Butcher, you're insane if you think people would agree. Yes, actually, let me do that because he's killing millions of people. I don't know. So anyway, now Billy Butcher's like, well, all the chicks that I've loved are now dead. And this voice in my head that I didn't know was fake until 2 episodes ago, I'm gonna listen to him now. I'm all in on the virus. We gotta get this virus distributed. Distribute the virus. And so we got Frenchie. He's trying to extract the virus out. We got Mother Milk on his butt, be like, yo, get that virus out. You gotta go quick. We got frickin' Newman. She's been, what is it? Not elected. What's the thing that happens before? Nominated. She's been nominated to become vice president, okay? She's getting up there. We don't necessarily want her to do that because she's on Bot's side and she's like infiltrating herself into the government, all that fun jazz. And then, Homelander. Because good old pal Sage isn't there. Homelander's like, oh, I'm just gonna tell everybody. I love it. He just tells everyone that Newman is a soup. And everyone freaks out. The world literally crashes and burns. Not the world, quite literally, but I love the scene in which we have Homelander is just sitting in his place and it's just all fiery. The TV's broken, stuff's on fire, Ryan's coming in. He's like, what's up? And Homelander's like, Attaboy, you're my kid. Also, Sister Sage comes around. He's like, this is my plan the entire time. I knew that your ego would be too much. Like, your ego would not let me tell you what to do for long enough. Of course, you're gonna have some back talk. So, I did this whole big brain plan thing, and you did a perfectly well job in your role. Homelander, see, this is part of the plan. We got the guy. He's now out of office because he's been linked to a murder. Oh man, isn't this awesome? Homelander's like, oh, okay, cool. I like his face that he does because he's partially relieved, but also partially he's realizing he's being manipulated pretty heavily by Sister Sage. I forgot to mention, Butcher kills Newman. Of course, when Homelander is like, oh yeah, she's a soup, she goes and calls Huey, hey, can you guys protect me? And of course, Butcher is, there when Huey's like, sure. And then, obviously, Butcher does the Butcher thing. Huey does the, oh, I'm such a nice friend, I just kind of want to be here to help kind of dealio. And guess what? It gets her killed. She's dead now. Uh-oh. And that murder gets pinned onto a guy that Sister Sage didn't want in that position. So luckily, Sister Sage is winning. And I'm just still thinking, what is your ultimate motivation? Is it just that life is boring and you're manipulating things? I don't know. There has to be a deeper meaning than that. I feel like my brain is about to explode. But my brain isn't as high IQ as she is. So maybe I'll never understand. Also, Annie gets out of the sticky situation she's in. She was handcuffed by that shapeshifter. She's able to get the shapeshifter out of the way, giving him a big ol' butt whooping and go murder. That shapeshifter is gone. Bye, shapeshifter. The very end, Butcher just go vroom with the virus. And I'm just really excited for Season 5. What's going to happen in Season 5? What are your predictions for Season 5? I'm so pumped for Season 5. I gotta give this episode, it is a solid 7.8 out of 10. If you like this review, watch another one. The platform really likes it. If you want to fast track a movie review, you can do that for $20 dinos at patreon.com/ASEPresents. And if you like to help support the daily grindiness of all them daily movie reviews, go to this link tree, find the way you can help support the daily grind of all them daily movie reviews. So you can go here. And until next time, I'm in Salad Saw. I'll see you later, my sour croutons and bacon bits. And I gotta go now because I've been here for way too long and Homelander might find me. Adios! See y'all in Season 5.